Welcome back to Frank's Model Aviation Workshop. This is episode 26 in the Top Flight 60 size P-40E Warhawk build. As you can probably notice, whenever I did the pan around, I already sheeted the trailing edge in between the two flaps. Did that off camera because it's just little piddly stuff you got to do. This episode we're going to concentrate on getting the wheel wells cut out for the retracts. Make sure I don't have any binding issues whenever they're in operation. And we're going to flip this thing over, trim the sheeting around the edges of the bottom, and do the top. We'll sheet the top. So if you like this type of content, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell and like and share my videos. I really appreciate it. And let's get going on this thing. Okay, we'll start off by cutting out these wheel wells. I made some, I got my liners bent. I haven't glued them in the circle yet, but this is basically the size I'm going to make them. And we'll get this cut out and slowly but surely get those liners fit down inside there. Might take a little bit of trimming up, so I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. I'll get you in here close so you can see what's going on. Okay, we'll start with the right wheel well. What I'm going to do is just cut with an X-Acto close to the line, and then I'll probably take my Dremel with a sanding drum and I'll go ahead and get to the line. Function test my retracts to see how the tire will go down in there. It'll probably be tight because that's a 4-inch exact circle and this is a 4-inch exact tire, so I know I'm going to have to go maybe at least 1/8 of an inch bigger around, but I'm going to do it a little bit at a time. I'm not going to, and it might not even need an 1/8 inch here and an 1/8 inch there. It might be 0 here and a 1/4 inch here, or 1/4 inch here and a 0 here. I don't know. We'll figure that out as we do the function test, because that's what's going to determine how big that circle is going to be. And you got to take into account that you get a rough landing or whatever, your wheel could be off and then it'll bind. So you want to have a little bit of extra space for any kind of deviation. So let me get my knife here. I'll get a fresh blade in it and we'll get to cutting that hole. All right, I'm just going to start maybe a 1/16 inch in. You want to take your time in doing this because you do not want to mess up your nice sheeting. There's a rib. I can feel the ribs down in there. Really got them glued good on them ribs. It ain't coming free very easy. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna put you in fast speed to start the demolition of in here because I'm gonna use my Dremel. Okay, so here's what we got so far. This is what it looks like inside the wheel well. And now what I'm gonna do, this is gonna go in here. I'm gonna put the seam toward the back. It doesn't really matter. It's hard to do this one-handed, but I'm gonna put the seam toward the back. Something like that. And then this, I'm gonna make a template and put a balsa floor in there. So I'll use a sheet of paper, and you can see the hole. I'm just gonna outline this, and then I'm gonna seam. I have to, butt together a couple sheets so I have enough to cover. And then I'm gonna make I'm gonna take my template, put it on there, and cut me 2 circles. Well, one at a time though, because this one over here is probably gonna be different shaped. I don't know. But I've got this one where it fits good, so I'm gonna go ahead and get you set up, and we'll finish doing this wheel well. Okay, I'm going to tape this piece of paper down so it doesn't move while I'm drawing. And I'm just taping it lightly to the balsa wood because I don't want to ruin the sheeting. It's just to keep it from shifting while I draw. So you're just taking you and draw what you see. And you get the template, and you'll make your balsa wood sheeting floor, and you'll just have to sand it to fit perfectly down inside the wheel well, which no big deal. Just to do a little bit at a time. There's a rough shape. That'll get me close. And you just get some scissors, and we'll have some craft time here. Just cut that circle out. Try to stay on the line, preferably leaving the line. That'll give you some extra. That's how you cut a circle, class. Okay, so here's my, I just butt spliced 2 sheets together like you've seen in previous videos. Now I'm just going to take this on there and trace around my template. I'm going to try to do it as perfect as possible, but it is just a sheet of printer paper, so it's going to want to lift on you and all kinds of crap. That's why I'll probably end up making another separate template for the other hole, because it's going to be probably a different size some way. Alright, there's that. Now I'm going to try something. Maybe I can... I might get it closer to... and just sand it to the line. And these aren't very sharp scissors either, so. All right, now. Basically, this is what I'm going to do. Sand it to the line all the way around. I'll do that in fast speed. All right, there's my hole for my template. I don't want it to go in like that. So you can tell I'm already going to have to take some off, and this has to be in order for that to happen. It's got to fit inside. So basically all I'm doing is going to be trimming off till this slides down in there nice and easy. So I think I'll do that off camera. Basically, I'm just taking a little bit off until it slides down in. I'll bring you back in when I can get it fit down in there. Okay, there it is. I got it slid down inside there. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to push these sides out. I'm going to run a thin CA around the circumference of this wheel well liner. Then I'll cut it off straight. And I'm going to run a bead, a thin CA along inside there too. And we'll see how it looks when it's done. Okay, so we'll run some thin CA around the perimeter here. And if that ain't enough, we'll use some thick. But you gotta be careful not to drip this on your sheeting. I'm going to change tips on that. It's not very accurate when you got a big clump of glue on the end of it. Here's a pro tip for you. If you get these new tips on here, they're really slick. So if you take your sandpaper and you give it a twist on here, those tips will go on without sliding off. See that? I'm going to go around here again. Okay. Now I think I'm going to use medium for the plate down in there. Alright, that's one wheel well glued in. Looks like it's going to function well. I will trim this to the edge after that dries real good. Okay, so I'm going to cut this excess off with my X-Acto, but the reason I'm using this is to keep this part of the X-Acto from, see what it did just to that? Imagine what that would do to your sheeting. So I'm going to use this to protect my sheeting. I'm going to get it down close, and then I'll sand it to where it needs to be. Sounds nasty, but I'm well above the end. Now here I want to be careful because I don't want to separate it from the sheeting. tell you, this hasn't been my favorite part of this model. I've never done retracts before. I'm usually a fixed gear guy. But this will give me practice for when I do the P-51 and the rest of my planes with retracts. Close. Now, I think I might have to do this one for me. Be very careful around it. I have no room to get to it. Maybe a little. Boy, that's nerve-wracking. So now I will use the T-bar sander and just slowly work it down on fast speed. Okay, so there's what we got. It's flush with the thing. I think I gouged my sheeting a little bit with my sandbar. Dang it. I'll fill that in when I get it, after I get it glassed. But any gaps that I had in here, I used my thin CA method. Worked perfectly. This little space here, I just cut a piece of the leftover plywood and I glued it up inside there. I'll fill that and sand that smooth before, you know, the finished product. But that's one wheel well, and I'm 6 hours in. Okay, so that was a successful wheel well project there. So let's go on to the other side. Do you want me to do that on video, or do you want me to just do it and then show you? What's that? Oh, you want to see it? All right, then we'll go ahead and do it on video. Let's get to it. Okay, the same thing with this one. I'm gonna cut it within a 1/16. Get at it with the Dremel, test fit my retract, and slowly but surely make the hole big enough to, you know, to accept the retract without binding. Hopefully we can make it just like the other one, but something inside me says that it's not gonna look exactly the same. It'll be close, but we'll see. So let's start cutting it. I'm gonna put a new blade in my knife. I spilled 100 blades down inside my little tote thing over here, so I'm not wanting to get in there and pick them out. I'm gonna cut myself to ribbons, so I just get them one at a time. So hopefully this one will go as nice as the other one. Maybe I can avoid getting so much CA on my skins. I don't like to do that. It's really hard to get it sanded nicely. That's why you don't want to sand it until after you glass it, if you get CA on your skin now. Just gonna rough cut it. That Dremel cuts this stuff like butter. I hope everybody's enjoying the build. I know I am. I can't wait to get this one done and go on to the next one. Okay, that should be it. Better make sure it's all the way through first. All right, going into fast mode for the Dremel. All right, got the hole in the second one. So we'll go on and get the liner set up. We need to do our template. This one almost fits. Hard to really tell, but it almost fits. But I'm gonna make a new one so I can have a correct size for this opening. So we'll see what goes on. So I thought I'd get the old template to see how close the holes are. They're pretty dang close. I ain't gonna be putting any, I'm not gonna be adding any more sheeting to that thing, so the other one I did just C hair bigger. So now I'm gonna take this template, this is a new one, I drew an arrow on it facing the gear. In case it's like an oblong or whatever, I can at least make it the right dimension. I'll get my two sheetings glued together, and we'll make another piece, make another sheeting. I'll do that off camera. Okay, I got my side walls done and my floor plate is done. So I'm gonna run the thin CA around like I did before, and we'll get this glued in. Try not to glue my hands to the plane. Which I did. This wheel well seems like it's a little deeper. It might be because the walls aren't cut down yet, but find out. what I think I might do before I glue this bottom one in. I might do the trimming and measure it, that way they're both the same depth. See if I can accomplish that, because they do look a little different just by sight. Well, there it is. Both of the wheel wells are cut in, lined, and they work perfectly. They've got good clearance, and you wouldn't know it by looking at it, but one is just slightly bigger than the other. That's all right. You won't notice it when it's flying. And it'll look good when it's done. Okay, now that we got the retracts roughed in, now's the time we're going to trim off the edges of all the sheeting, sand it to the edge, and I got to cut out my flap openings on both sides. Then we'll flip the wing over, run the strings for the flap servo extensions, and get my airlines ran to the center of the wing from the cylinders. That'll be the goal for this next little bit. See how long the video is. Right now I'm about 35 minutes in, so I'm going to keep going until we got a good video. I'm going to start off by removing these retracts. I got it unglued from the table if you haven't noticed. And don't know if you noticed during one of the fast speeds of doing this, grinding the to the edge, I put my knuckle through my sheeting. So now you'll probably rewind back to watch it. But I glued it, and you can't even tell. You can barely feel it. Of course, once I get it fiberglassed and primed and sanded, that'll all get filled in. It's not a big deal. Luckily, it's the bottom side, not the top. I think I might, for this video, just get the string ran, the airlines, and sheet the top of the wing and trim it to the edges. And that'll be it for this video. Next video, I'll do the tips, carve them to shape, mount the wing to the fuselage, and get everything situated there. We'll see though. I think the first thing I'm going to do is cut them flap door openings. I went through with thin CA and hardened all of my threads, or my screw holes, so the threads harden up. That way they don't strip out. I'm learning a lot on this plane, so my future gold editions ought to be a lot nicer, I think. I mean, this one's turning out good. I'm happy with it. I'll definitely fly it. But my future gold edition kits will be a lot nicer. Or my attempt will be to make them nicer. Okay, so now I'm going to cut open my flap openings, and to do that, I'm going to take a T-pin and just run it close to the edge in the corner. Make a mark. That way I know where it cut. And if you remember earlier, I only glued the very edge of that flap door opening, you know, the rails, so that when I cut this out, it should come out easier. It's not going as easy as I thought it was going to go. Screwed around and broke my sheeting off the edge here, so I'm going to have to glue it back. Alright, so now we'll just take a straight edge and cut that off with a sharp blade. So yes, I'll be changing my blade out. Alright, so we'll just take the clear ruler, or you can use a regular ruler. Just make sure you have tape on the back side of it so it don't slide around on you. And just cut between your dots. I hear it crunching. That crunching is my center, my center jig falling over. I'm cutting to the inside, that way I can adjust later. And you want to be careful that you don't cut through, or you don't put your hand through your sheeting. All right, there's one. Now what I'm going to do, after, because you had that rail I still have to cut out for them. I'm going to put, after I get this sanded to the edge, I'm going to put strips of something, maybe another little strip of balsa like that along that edge. So when you put your hatch cover on and it screws on there, when you push on it, it won't give, and it won't give right there. You'll be able to have a nice solid structure. I did that on my extra 300. Okay, off camera I did the other one. So now what we got to do is take the flap door or servo doors, get them over their openings and cut around them and get that wood out of there so these things fit nice and flush in there. So that's what I'll work on next. Okay, so you just place it over. Make sure that your flap control horn lines up with that opening. As you can see, it does. There's my flap control horn. And it lines up right with that one. Gotta make sure you do that on both of them. A good way to know is this opening here goes to the outside and aft. So now we'll just center that in that opening there. Want to make sure it's perfectly centered and straight. Well, it's at this point in the video that you guys and gals are saying, wait a minute, I thought we were cutting in the flat servo bays. Well, we were, and we'll get to it. But I got tired, and I was like, well, instead of botching this thing up, so I thought, well, I'll stop the video tonight. So this is day 2, or night 2 for me, in the wing finish up video. So we'll get back on these servo bay doors and press on. So let's get going. Okay, so what I got going on here, I have a lip here on both sides, and there's a lip here. I'm not too worried about these two, but I have to sand these to the ribs, level with the ribs, or flush to the ribs. So I'll do that in fast speed or off camera or whatever. I just want to, in order to get these flap doors on there correctly, I need those to be flush. So we'll get that done, and then we'll cut in the flap door, or flap servo bay door. Okay, so we got it where I want it. Now I'll just line that up. Make sure I'm even on both sides. Looks good. And we'll just take the knife and cut the rest of it out. You don't want to press too hard. I don't have this on a jig anymore, so I could potentially bust the center rib. So I want to be careful with that. And this is still the same sharp blade as I had yesterday. I feel like I got just a little bit of glue under there. Tried to keep the glue to the outside edge. Okay, that looks pretty good. Want to be careful lifting that up so you don't lift sheeting with it. Got a little bit of glue in there, so we'll take my woodworking tool and we'll just try to get this flush as best we can. really be careful here because that thing slips, it's going to take your sheeting off. Now let's test fit it, see what it looks like. You just want to do this kind of stuff slowly so you don't mess it up. Because you're on the final stages of the wing and you don't want to mess up your nice construction so far. It should be about there. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now what we're going to do, we're going to drill 16th inch holes here in those 3 locations. I know they're hard to see, but I'm going to use my centering tool, but I'm going to take the spring and the centering part out. And we'll just try to see where they go. Matter of fact, I'm going to take that out of there so I can see where they're at. I'll make a mark with a pen or something. I can't see. That's where we'll drill them. Just kind of go straight down. And what I'll do is I'll put a screw in. That way it doesn't move when I go to do the next one. And I'll use the correct screws. These are countersunk, so I'll have to countersink them later. Now I'll go over here. And do this corner. To countersink these things, I'm probably going to use like a 1/4 inch drill bit and just drill down through, or not all the way through, but just to make a countersink in it, in the plywood. We'll just do the corners and then we'll do the centers. And after you remove this door, you'll take thin CA and run it down through those holes, just a little drop, just to harden threads. I'll do this door and then I'll do the other one off camera. There's really no dimple, so you just kind of like have to guess where you're putting them. Try to get them as even as possible. Okay, there's 6 screws in. Pretty flush. I'm going to sand this a little bit so it sets down. So now we'll take all these screws out. And because this is the right, I'm going to put an R on the inside of this, so when I go to put it back in, I'll know that this one goes here because it will not go on the other side. So let me sand this a little bit. Just want to make it fit better. Maybe even sand this. There we go. That's perfect. All right, now I'm going to go, we'll put a drop of CA in these holes. Thin CA. That one's a little close to the edge. I like to blow the holes out because if that CA sets in there and hardens, you won't get that screw back in there. Those are good. So I'm going to take this into the drill press and do my countersink, and we'll check these fit, check the fit again. So I decided to go with a 11/64 bit because it's closest to the head size. So I'm just gonna put the drill bit down in there enough, just countersink. I don't want to go all the way through. So I'm gonna turn this light on here so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'll turn the volume down on the clip.
test fit.
It may not be perfect, but it'll be close enough. Plus, this will redo my threads. You know, they're when you put that thin CA down in there, it'll raise the grain inside that hole. So putting these screws back in will strengthen those threads. See, that's a little better. That's a little countersink. Not perfect, like I said, but it's good enough. Hopefully, I don't CA my lid back on. Looks decent. And you know, some of these countersinks aren't perfect, so it's not going to go all the way in, but at least it's better than nothing. Alright, there it is. One flap servo door complete. Now we'll go on to the other side. I'll do that off camera. That way we can get on to sheeting the top of the wing, but I got to run my servo extensions and my airlines for the retracts. So I'm going to have to reinstall my retracts so that I can see where the lines need to go. I'm going to have to put holes in ribs and stuff to run them. So we'll get that set up and get that going. I wanted to show a little added touch. These are 3/16 square sticks. I just cut a 1/2-inch piece, glued it to either side, somewhere in the middle, where when you put your flat bay door on, it's not just hanging out there in the breeze. It has something to back up to. And when you do that, because of the angle of the wing, and this is on there square, I'll have to sand this edge just a little bit at the dihedral angle. That way it'll sit there flush. Right now it's lifted up, but this side's fine. I did the same thing on this one, and I'm gonna get ready to drill my holes, CA the holes, and do the countersink in the lid, and I'll be done with the flap doors, and we'll flip this wing over and get the extensions ran, and not the extensions but the strings for the extensions ran, and the airlines for the retracts. So I'll be back with you in a sec. Just wanted to show you those little pieces. I just wanted to show the other side done. I got this lid off, but the other side's done. Now we're ready to turn this wing over. I think I might install the retracts back on it, because when I run the airlines and stuff, I'm going to need to know where I need to drill my holes and stuff. So I'll put the retracts back on and flip the wing over. We got to put the jigs on it and all that too, so we'll get to doing that. Okay, before we get started installing the airlines and my strings for the servo wires to go from the flaps to the center of the wing, I wanted to show you, I got the center jig, both leading edge and trailing edge. And then these tip jigs, I just took a piece of scrap ply and I tack glued them to the wing tips on both sides. So they're basically in line with the wing tip. What I'm gonna do after I get my airlines ran and my strings, I'm gonna use this type of string just to run from the flat bay to the center of the wing. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to glue the wing down to the table where the jigs are. I'll glue there, front, back, and the other tip. I'll glue that down to keep it from moving and to keep any twists from happening when I'm putting the sheeting on. So, and like the bottom wing, we'll do the forward sheeting, then the back sheeting. And so what I gotta do to run these airlines and stuff, I gotta make access holes and stuff to go from, where I want them in the center to where I need them to go. And to do that, I'm going to put you in fast speed because that way I can get it all done and ran. And then after I got it ran, I'll show you what I got before I start putting the sheeting in so you can see how to run the retracts. This is actually my first time running or putting retracts in a plane. So I've been consulting with Mike Bayona to help me with the install of this because I don't want to get this thing put together and things don't work right. So have one landing gear go up and the other go down. That would kind of suck. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the tripod, put you in fast speed. We'll install all this, the line, the strings, and the airlines. And then we'll I'll get off fast speed and get you in here and show you exactly what I have going on. And then we'll get to sheeting the top of the wing. After the wing's sheeted, I'm going to install the retracts and test them. So they should work. I've got a diagram that Mike sent me. I'll just go by that and we'll go on from there. Okay, so now that we got that done, I've got my servo wire coming out here. I'm going to have everything coming out this side of the wing. So when I sheet, I'll sheet this side completely. This side, I'll have a hole cut out, or a circular or a semicircle, to get all these out. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to run my strings for my flaps. And that shouldn't be too tough. So what we're going to do, everything's going to go here. So I'm going to run this in here, through here. Just keep running. I got space in front of my wheel well there, and I'll run them right here. I'll give myself plenty of access. And we'll cut that. Do the same thing over here. We'll run it from here. Hard to get a hold of that dang string. Alright. I'll tie those two together. So that'll take care of, now, I don't really want my servo wire going. Well, I'd rather go there than in front, so I'm just going to keep it like that. Don't think I'm going to have an issue with rubbing or anything. Alright, so that's that. Now we'll go ahead and run the airlines. So the red airlines are going to go through here. And now here, I'm going to leave about that much excess. And they're going to get teed right in here. So I'm going to cut right there. And then I'll run another one. Let's see. I don't like that, dang it. I'm gonna put a hole in here, run them through here. Okay. Now we'll go from here. This is where it's gonna the airline is gonna come in. So the red will come out like that. So I'm going to tee those right here. Sierra gives you these nice brass tees. Okay, so that's going to be my retract tee. Now I got to do the extend tees. That's going to come in here and here. Okay, yeah, that'll work. That'll be the blue line. So I'm going to go from here through here. Through here. I'm going to go below that servo. Well, I'm going to have to go above it. That'll go through there too. I think I'm going to reroute that red one below that rail. So same thing, I'm going to leave roughly 6 inches outside of there. Roughly. And then we'll do the go through here. Go through here. And then we'll tee it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And we'll put a tee right here. And from here, we'll go to a quick disconnect outside of the wing. I'll do that after we get the line ran. Or after we get the wing sheeted. So there's that. I think what I might do, I might, let's get those out. And down, we'll just put them down out of the wing. So basically that's how those are going to run. So I'll have a hole or a half circle right here, and I'll just get those out and hook my airline for the quick disconnects through there. Okay. Okay, so now that I have that done, we can go ahead and start the bottom sheeting. Scratch that. Now that I have that done, we'll go ahead and start the top sheeting. Man, I'm tired. Okay, I want to show how I got these ran. Red lines go on the end of the cylinder, so they are all here, going into this, in between the shear web. Blue line comes into the side of the cylinder. Both of those go up, and they get teed right here. Red to red, blue to blue. This is my flap servo. I got it tied to my aileron servo wire so I can pull it up through the sheeting too. So after that, since we got that all done, we'll get situated and go ahead and sheet the forward section of the wing. I already pre-sanded lightly all my ribs, lightly. You know, you don't want to change the airfoil on them, but you just sand them. Sanded my aileron trailing edge on both sides, and I got my flap trailing edge sanded flush. So everything should be ready to sheet. So let's get that sheeting going so we can get this wing fully sheeted. Okay, to sheet this forward section, like I showed before, we're going to have to trim the flat area right in here. So I'm going to kind of get it lined up. with the center. That's roughly where it's going to be. And we'll mark it to cut it. So line it up again. You want to look down that leading edge. So you want to have the edge of that sheeting in the center, and it's going to go in, so I'm going to have to trim it in a little bit, but we'll worry about that later. Right now I want to get this trimmed up. I'll just take a straight edge and cut that off. Oh, nice. Just put a ding in my sheeting. I'm going to leave the line, I'll just sand to it. See how that fits. Alright. So I'm just sand a little bit off. A little bit more. I'm kind of sanding it at an angle too. Alright, I like that. So now that I got that, I'm going to mark this and cut it. Requires a little bit of finesse. You want it to fit that center as perfect as possible. Now this one will be different, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to sand a bevel on the leading edge, just a slight one, to where when we tape that on there, we'll it'll grab into the leading edge. So let's get tape wherever I put that. Get it ready, and we'll sand that bevel. Good enough. Now I'm pulling on that so it pulls it into the leading edge. A couple more pieces should be good enough. Alright, so there that is. Now I gotta get my, these are 22 inches. Should only need one, I think. So I'm gonna mark that with a pen so I know where to stop with my glue. And I'll glue the ribs and glue the spar, get it down with my T-bar, and then I'll run a thin CA down the leading edge, and that'll be that side. Okay. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting medium CA on the top of these ribs on the leading edge section. I'll go to the spar. I'm just pressing down on that leading edge, make sure it's in. That is that. Got a little ding there, but luckily that's under the fuselage. Dang it. I hate getting dings. Feels even. My leading edge feels even all the way around on both sides, up top and bottom. This will get trimmed off after I get done sheeting. But there is the leading edge on that side. I'll do the other side in fast speed. Okay, so there's the forward section of the wing sheeted. And I forgot to run my thin CA along this seam. I went ahead and did that right after I did that one in fast speed. So that's all done. Next we gotta set up to do the aft sheeting. And then we're done sheeting this thing. I gotta place the sheet on there and get it trimmed up, you know, because it's gonna butt up against this. And it's going to butt up against that. So fitting it in this section can be a little tricky. Then I'll leave excess in this area. So we'll get it set up and then we'll get that sheeting on. So I got it taped. I got the aft sheeting taped flush with this leading edge sheeting. I got a mark here and I'm going to cut it from here to here. Now, because this butts up against the trailing edge here, I went underneath and I poked a pin up on basically on the inside over here, and I'm gonna cut outside of that dot to here. So cut that straight, and then I'll just, you know, do a little jiggy joggy here to get this excess sheeting, and then we'll hone in on this section here. This is going to be tough too because there's a slight curve to that. I'll show you. You can see there's a slight curve to it. So I poked the pin up here in the corner. So the first cut I'm going to make is right there. I'm going to use this T-bar sander because it won't move. And I'm going to mark a line right there. If I mess this up, you'll know. In fact, I'm going to test my theory. I'm going to make sure I have trailing edge there. And I don't. So I'm going to go further out. All right. There. Okay. I'm going to cut this off. That's that. Trick is going to be to get that in there. We'll worry about that in a minute. Right now, let me get this cut. I'm going to put that T-pin in the corner, but I'm going to leave some meat on that thing. Basically what I'm doing is just getting a lot of this excess wood out of the way. Nice and neat. That was a little bit too close for comfort. Okay, now here's the trick. How are we going to get this? And let's do that. Let's cut this first. I'm going to put a fresh blade in my knife. These are those times when you wish you were just monocoating an open structure, but it'll look nicer like this. I know I'm in front of you, but I can't do this at that angle. This is a trial and error fit. I'm a little bit off center right there, so I'm going to reposition and set it. That to be centered, and that didn't affect this any. I don't like this frog tape. Okay. Now I'm going to sand it to this edge here, a little bit at a time.
Alright, happy with that. Now the only thing I gotta worry about is right here. And man, am I worried. I think I'm gonna cut that a little bit closer so I can see the edge, but just leave a sliver. I'm only gonna cut a little chunk out of it. So I can see the edge of it. Okay. Alright, well. I think the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to get it close. When I go to glue it, I'm going to bow this like this and press it down. That way it'll be where it needs to be here. You know what I mean? Pretty close to that. You're seeing this live. I screw it up, you're gonna know it. Well, not live, but man, we might be able to almost do that. I'm just taking off slivers at a time. I don't want to have any gap. I wonder if Mike had this issue. I'm just slowly but surely working this. Preferably, I'd like it to just drop in, but I don't mind the idea of bowing it a little bit and then laying it down in, because I know it'll work. Let's take a little bit more off here, just a tiny bit, just a little bit. Yeah, that's about perfect right there. Once I get this on here, I'm going to do the other one in fast speed. This is taking forever. I need to Let's sand a little bit right there. Here. A little bit more right here. Now when I go like this, it'll push it to the edge here. And I'm not going to sand down here a little bit. This is probably gonna be the most boring video you guys have ever watched. I'd like to know how Mike did this. Okay. Now I'm going to figure out why I'm raised up over here, and then I'll tape it back down. Or maybe I'll just flip it back. I don't know, I'm kind of happy with it. The proof's going to be in the pudding. So I'm not going to put any glue on this edge. This edge will be thin CA'd once I get it positioned. And you know, that's just the way it's going to have to be. Wish me luck. Wait a minute, before I do that, I'll make sure all my just want to make sure that's flush. Okay. All right, here we go. No turning back now. In fact, I probably shouldn't even glue this. I should have used thick CA, dang it. Oh well, we'll on the next one. It's burning my eyes. Here we go. I don't want to put the T-bar down on that because my luck will break the dang flat off. I like to do this now while the glue's not cured. I'm only sanding over the spar, nowhere else. Alright, we'll run a bead of thin CA in here. Carefully, I'm going to cut that tip off so I have a good where to do with my knife. I'll see if I can find my knife. I'll cut that tip off. It likes to hide from me. Oh, there you go. All right. All right, I'm going to be happy with that for now. We'll do any touch-up sanding later. Might have to fill some. So that'll be that top sheet. I'll do the other top sheet off camera, and then I'll bring you back when we're done.
Before I go on to this other sheet, I'm going to go ahead and cut out a semicircle here to get my airline teed out and my servo, aileron servo connection out of there. And then we'll put this sheet on off camera. Okay, I got my aileron servo wire and the up and down airlines out. Still have the flat servo string down in there. I'll just keep that right there for now. I'm gonna go ahead and get set up to trim this left side. Got a lot to do on that, and then I'll bring you back when it's done. Well, there it is. Top is all sheeted, and the airlines and all the servo extensions will come out that center section. Next step is to install the retracts and try to function test them. I think I'll do that on episode 27. This is already well over 2 hours, but it's turning out pretty decent. I'm happy with it. That'll do it for this episode. Got the top wing sheeted, bottom wing sheeted. Got the airlines and stuff put in for the retracts and the strings for the flap servos. Next episode, we'll install the retracts, function test them, make sure everything works good. I know it's a little late now if I got anything screwed up in here, but I think it's right. We'll do the tips and go on from there. So I hope you liked what you saw, and if you're sticking around this long, you must be interested. So if you like it, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of the new episodes coming out for the P-40 build. And like and share my videos. So until next episode, thanks for watching.